Lesson number 14, what the temple was. The Israelite temple was the centerpiece of the ancient Jewish culture and state. Its origin and function derived from the tabernacle of the Exodus. The tabernacle formed the immeasurably important link as the holy place, not only to worship, but to actually unite with God. Moses was given explicit revelation when he went up on Mount Sinai. He came down with the foundations of worship and life before God. The Ten Commandments, the Ark with its mercy seat, and the tabernacle blueprints, all establishing the required safe place for the Jews to become God's own people. And yes, the focus of Israel was the tabernacle, actually the central region of the tabernacle, at the precise locus of the ark's mercy seat. There did God commune with his people, hovering over the body of his people as a pillar of cloud and fire. The original Emmanuel, God with us. The tabernacle remained all the while Israel wandered in the wilderness. And then, for hundreds of years, just outside of Jerusalem, until Solomon built a permanent house for God, the first Jerusalem tabernacle temple. Solomon's temple retained its transcendent status as the nexus status, the connection of God to his people Israel. It was not the structure, the actual building, but rather the spiritual essence and presence that qualified Israel as God's special children. This status certified by the priest's ongoing ceremonial spilling of sacrificial blood on the temple's altar. But the significance of this blood was uniquely different from all the blood and other sacrifices of all the other religions of mankind. Blood spilled on the Jewish temple's altar was not the giving of a valuable livestock resource to pay an angry or haughty God to be nice to them. No, this blood, the lifeblood of the sacrificed animal, represented God's own cleansing of the sin of his people. A very special cleansing, not a get-out-of-jail-free card removal of sin, but an atonement, a paid-for kind of cleansing, as imaged by the death and bleeding of that which was sacrificed. Ever since Abraham was able to take Isaac safely home from Mount Moriah, the Jews knew the revelation that God himself would provide a special something that would bless all humanity. They knew that God's commands regarding sacrificial worship were embodied by all that the temple represented. Unfortunately, as with all things mortal, the temple's holiness became less and less awesome to Israel. Accordingly, the actual presence of God dwindled and finally disappeared in the face of a nation that had abandoned God. God then abandoned them, and they were taken captive to Babylon. The temple, empty of God, was destroyed. God was no longer with, as in the sense of joined, as the original Emmanuel to Israel. In the course of time, God preserved his promise to Abraham and brought a remnant back to Jerusalem, where they built another temple. Tragically, this one no longer contained the actual focus of the Spirit of God. At best, it served as a reminder of what once was, although no one alive would again sense that awe of the Holy Spirit's presence imbuing that first temple. God's providence is never detoured or stymied His decision to continue as Emmanuel was now ripe for an awesome upgrade. God's cohabitation was to become personal. This is prophesied in Jeremiah chapter 31 and executed through Jesus in Luke chapter 22. God, through his prophet Jeremiah, describes the relationship God had with Israel at the beginning of the Exodus in the tabernacle. In human terms, God taking them by the hand as a husband, the one flesh partnering relationship. Then seeing Israel break that bond in a spiritual divorce, but God now comes with a new covenant, which is inborn and existential. Every single individual in the household of God will have his essence as part of their being, having any and all of their sin in constant remission. God's immutably perfect personal temple as part of one's conscious spiritual being. Although ultimately applied to all God's people through all history, this spiritual temple had to have its existence initiated by the promised unique sacrifice. It is what Christ meant when he declared the new covenant's reality through his blood, him leading us all to the Emmanuel status of being, each one a temple of the Holy Spirit. That's what the temple was, is now, and will be forever.